The first time Harper Quinn pointed a rifle at the man in the black SUV, he did not flinch. Snow fell between them in thick, silent sheets, turning the Montana forest into a world of bone-white trees and frozen shadows. Her cabin stood behind her, warm light spilling from the windows, smoke curling from the chimney, her old golden retriever barking himself hoarse from inside. The SUV had been there for 47 nights. Same place, same hour, same month. He never knocked. He never spoke. He never left until sunrise. Harper stood barefoot inside her winter boots, her coat thrown over a nightgown, her fingers numb around the rifle stock. She should have called the sheriff weeks ago. She should have packed a bag and driven into town. She should have listened to the fear that had been sleeping under her ribs since the first night she noticed the headlights beneath the pines. But fear had a strange way of turning into anger when it had nowhere else to go. "Get out of the car!" she shouted. The driver's side door opened. A man stepped into the storm. He was tall, dressed in a black wool coat that looked wrong against the wilderness. Too expensive, too city, too deliberate. Snow gathered in his dark hair, but he did not seem to notice. His face was brutally calm, carved with a kind of restraint that made him seem more dangerous than rage ever could. He looked at the rifle. Then he looked at her. "Put it down, Harper." Her stomach dropped. She had never told him her name. The wind screamed through the trees. Somewhere in the woods, a branch cracked beneath the weight of ice. Harper tightened her grip. "How do you know my name?" The man's jaw shifted, almost imperceptibly. "I know more than your name." The sentence landed between them like a loaded gun. Harper took one step back. "Who are you?" He did not answer immediately. His eyes moved past her shoulder to the cabin, to the window where her dog barked, to the porch light swinging in the wind. Then he said quietly, "My name is Dante Moretti." Harper had heard that name once before. Not in Montana, not in her life, on the news. In whispered documentaries. In online articles filled with words like organized crime, empire, suspected murder, federal investigation, untouchable. Dante Moretti, the most feared mafia boss in America. Her hands went cold. "You need to leave," she said. "I can't." "Why?" His eyes returned to hers, and for the first time something passed through them. Not softness, not apology. Something worse. "Fear. Because the men hunting my son found you first." Harper stopped breathing. The rifle lowered an inch. "What son?" Dante looked at her like the answer might break both of them. "The one you gave birth to 6 years ago." The world tilted. For one impossible second, Harper heard nothing. Not the wind, not the dog, not the storm snapping through the trees, only her own heartbeat. Then she whispered, "That's impossible." Dante took one step toward her. Harper raised the rifle again. He stopped. "I know," he said. "That is what I thought too." Before Harper could speak, a flash of light cut through the woods behind him. Not lightning, headlights. Dante turned his head slightly, and the change in him was instant. The cold man became something sharper, something lethal. His hand disappeared beneath his coat. 3 black trucks broke through the snow-covered road, moving too fast without headlights now, engines growling like wolves. Dante's voice dropped. "Go inside." Harper's throat closed. "What is happening?" "They're here." The first gunshot shattered her porch light. Glass exploded over the snow. Dante moved before Harper could scream. He crossed the distance between them in 2 strides, seized her around the waist, and drove her down behind the woodpile as bullets tore through the front of her cabin. Harper hit the ground hard. Dante covered her body with his, one arm locked around her head, his breath warm against her ear. "Do exactly what I say," he murmured, "or you die tonight." The trucks stopped. Doors opened. Men shouted. in a language Harper did not understand. Dante lifted his gun, and the quiet man who had watched her cabin for 47 nights became the monster everyone in America feared. He fired once. A man dropped. Harper screamed into the snow. Dante did not blink. The storm swallowed the sound of violence, but not the terror. Bullets ripped bark from trees. Her cabin windows burst inward. Her dog howled. Dante dragged her toward the back of the cabin, keeping his body between hers and the gunfire, with a calm so controlled it was almost inhuman. "Your cellar," he said. "How do you know I have a cellar?" "I know everything about this house." She twisted away from him. "You watched me. I protected you." "From what?" Another bullet slammed into the wall above her head. Dante pushed her down the cellar stairs and shut the trap door over them. Darkness swallowed them whole. Harper's breathing came in broken bursts. The cellar smelled like canned peaches, old wood, and earth. Above them, footsteps pounded across the floorboards. Dante crouched beside her, gun raised, his face half lit by the weak glow of her emergency lantern. Harper stared at him, trembling with fury and fear. "You said I had a child." His eyes flicked to hers. "Not had," he said. "Have." Her lips parted. Dante's expression remained controlled, but something in his voice changed. "He is alive." Above them, someone kicked open the cellar door. Dante fired through the dark. The man fell down the stairs. Harper pressed both hands over her mouth. Dante grabbed her wrist and pulled her toward the old tunnel behind the shelves. It was a narrow mining passage left from the cabin's original structure, something no one in town knew about. No one except him. He had known. He had known everything. They crawled through freezing darkness until Harper's knees bled and her palms scraped raw. When they emerged beneath the ridge, the storm hit her face like broken glass. At the base of the hill, another SUV waited. A man, in a black suit, opened the back door. "Boss," he said. Dante pushed Harper inside. She tried to resist. "My dog." Dante looked back toward the cabin, already burning at one corner where a lantern had fallen. Harper's voice cracked. "Dante." It was the first time she said his name. His face hardened. "Stay in the car." He vanished into the smoke. Minutes stretched like years. Gunshots cracked through the trees. Flames rose against the snow. Harper pressed her shaking hands against the window, unable to look away. Then Dante emerged from the burning cabin with her golden retriever in his arms. The dog was alive, terrified, covered in ash. Dante handed him into the SUV, like the animal weighed nothing, then climbed in beside Harper, with blood on his sleeve that did not seem to be his. The vehicle sped into the storm. Harper stared at him. "You came back for my dog." Dante looked out the window. "You would have hated me if I didn't." She laughed once, but it broke into something close to a sob. Then she slapped him. The sound cracked through the back seat. The driver froze. Dante slowly turned his face back to her. Harper's hand burned. "You don't get to say I have a son, and then drag me into hell without explaining." Dante's men did not breathe, but Dante only looked at her with those dark, controlled eyes. "You're right." The simplicity of it frightened her more than anger would have. He reached into his coat and removed a small photograph. A little boy stared up from it. Dark hair, serious eyes, a faint dimple in one cheek. Harper's heart seemed to tear open. She did not recognize him, and yet something inside her body did. Her hands trembled as she took the photo. "What is his name?" Dante's voice lowered. "Luca." Snow battered the windows. Harper stared at the boy's face until her vision blurred. "Where is he?" Dante looked at the road ahead, with the man who stole him. The safe house was not a house. It was a fortress, hidden inside a mountain. Steel gates opened beneath a ridge of pine trees, revealing a private road that led to a glass and stone lodge built into the cliffs. Armed men moved like shadows along the perimeter. Cameras turned as the SUV passed. A helicopter sat silent on a landing pad, dusted with snow. Harper had spent her life pulling calves in blizzards, stitching wounded horses by lantern light, comforting old dogs as they died in their owners' arms. She had never seen wealth like this, or danger organized so beautifully. Inside, the lodge smelled of cedar, smoke, leather, and money. The windows rose 2 stories high, framing the dark mountains beyond. A fire burned in a stone hearth large enough to stand inside. Dante's men watched her with careful distance. Not curiosity, respect, or fear, maybe both. Dante removed his blood-stained coat and handed it to a silent man near the door. Get her warm clothes, food, medical supplies. Harper lifted her chin. I'm not staying. You are. You don't get to decide that. His gaze moved over her face, her shaking hands, the blood on her knees. I do tonight. The quiet authority in his voice made her furious, because some part of her, the frightened animal part, wanted to obey. I want answers. You'll get them. Now. Dante stared at her for a long moment. Then he turned to his men. Leave us. No one questioned him. When the room emptied, the silence became intimate and dangerous. Dante walked to a cabinet, poured whiskey into a glass, then did not drink it. He only held it, as if he needed something to keep his hands still. 6 years ago, he said, I hired a private medical firm to help me have a child. Harper's mouth went dry. I was not married. I had no intention of marrying. My world is not safe for love, but I needed an heir. Someone with my blood. Someone no rival family could challenge after my death. Harper crossed her arms over herself. The clinic used surrogates? Yes, I was never a surrogate. Dante's eyes darkened. Not knowingly. The room seemed to shrink. Harper remembered the winter 6 years ago. The exhaustion. The blackout after a truck hit her on an icy road outside Billings. 3 days missing from her memory. The doctors had told her. She suffered trauma. Internal bleeding. Complications. She had believed them because she had been 27, alone, grieving her mother, and too tired to question medical words she barely understood. Dante watched the realization move across her face. They took me, she whispered. Yes. Her knees weakened. Dante stepped toward her, then stopped himself before touching her. It was the first time she noticed that restraint. The way his hand almost lifted. The way his fingers curled instead into a fist. Who? A man named Viktor Sokolov. My enemy. My former ally. He infiltrated the clinic, altered records, and used you without consent. When Luca was born, Viktor took him before I ever saw him. Harper pressed a hand to her stomach. A child. Her child. A life stolen from her body, while she lay unconscious. She could not cry. The shock was too deep for tears. Why did you wait 6 years? I didn't. Dante's voice turned colder. I burned half the East Coast looking for him. Then why come to me now? Because 2 months ago, I found one surviving nurse from that clinic. Before she died, she gave me your name. Harper flinched. Died? Executed. She stared at him. Dante did not soften the truth. Victor is cleaning up loose ends. That includes you. Harper turned toward the window. Snow drifted against the glass like ash. 47 nights. He had sat outside because someone wanted her dead. You should have told me. Yes. Why didn't you? His reflection in the window looked like a ghost beside hers. Because I didn't know if you were innocent. Harper turned. The words hit harder than she expected. You thought I helped steal your son. I thought everyone was capable of betrayal. And now, Dante's eyes held hers. Now I know you didn't. She hated the relief that moved through her. Hated that his belief mattered. What changed your mind? The first night I watched your cabin, you drove 20 miles through a blizzard to save a dying mare for a man who couldn't pay you. His voice was quiet. The second night, you fell asleep at your kitchen table holding an old photo of your mother. The 6th night, you cried after putting down a dog you loved. The 15th, you fed a stray fox from your porch and pretended not to care when it came back. Harper stared at him. Horror and something more complicated twisting together. You were watching me that closely. His face did not change. Yes, that's not protection. That's obsession. Dante's jaw tightened. I know. The admission was too honest, too calm, too dangerous. Harper looked away first. The next morning, the world she knew no longer existed. Her cabin was gone. News vans gathered miles away from the blocked road, reporting a gas explosion. The sheriff's office accepted the explanation too quickly. Her phone filled with missed calls from neighbors, clients, and one unknown number that sent a message with only 4 words. You should have run. Dante took the phone from her hand before she could respond. Victor, he said. Harper reached for it. Give it back. No. He messaged me. That is why you will not touch it. She stepped closer, anger sharpening her fear. You don't own me. The room went still. Dante looked down at her. No, he said. But every man hunting you thinks I do. That makes you leverage. I am not leverage. To me, you are not. His voice lowered. To them, you are the fastest way to hurt me. Harper hated the way her pulse reacted to that. Why would hurting me hurt you? Dante's eyes moved over her face slowly, as if he was deciding whether to lie. Then he said, because Luca has your eyes. The words struck something deep and unbearable. Harper sat down before her legs gave out. Dante placed the photograph on the table in front of her. Luca, her son, their son. She forced herself to look. Does he know about me? I don't know. Does he know about you? Dante was silent too long. Harper understood. Victor had not merely stolen a child. He had stolen a life. That day, Dante showed her the war room. Screens covered one wall. Maps of Europe, New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and the Canadian border glowed with red markers. Names, photographs, routes, bank transfers, missing people, shipping containers, and at the center of it all, a child's face. Luca at 2, Luca at 4, Luca at 6. Photos, taken from impossible distances, through fences, across streets, behind tinted windows. Harper touched the screen. Where is he now? Dante stood behind her, close enough that she felt his body heat, far enough that he still denied himself contact. Victor moves him every few weeks. Why keep him alive? Because Luca is blood leverage. My blood. Your body. A claim on my empire if Victor ever needs one. Harper turned, disgusted. He's a child, in my world. Children inherit wars before they inherit names. Then get him out of that world. Something in Dante's face hardened. I have tried. Try harder. His eyes flashed. Every man in that room went still. Harper realized then that no one spoke to Dante Moretti like that. No one, except her. He stepped closer. You think I sleep? He asked softly. You think there is one city I have not searched? One man I have not broken? One priest, judge, banker, doctor, smuggler, soldier, traitor, or brother I have not threatened for a whisper of my son. Harper's breath caught. Dante's voice stayed low, but the emotion beneath it was volcanic. I have spent 6 years becoming more monstrous than the men who took him because I believed that if I became terrifying enough, the world would give him back. The room fell silent. Harper saw it then. Naught softness. Damage. A man who had carved himself into a weapon because grief had nowhere else to go. Her anger did not disappear, but it shifted. "You still should have told me sooner," she said. "Yes, and if I help you find him, you don't make decisions for me." His eyes held hers. "I can't promise that." "Then I won't help." Dante leaned in slightly. "You will. Because you'll force me?" "No." His gaze dropped to the photo of Luca. "Because you already love him." Harper hated him for being right. The first attempt on her life inside the safe house came that night. She woke to silence. Not normal, silence. The wrong kind. Her dog, Bear, was not breathing softly beside the bed. The hallway lights were off. The security monitor on the wall showed static. Harper sat up. A shadow moved beneath her door. She slipped from bed, grabbed the scalpel from the medical kit Dante had sent up, and backed toward the window. The door opened. A man entered with a suppressed gun. Before Harper could scream, a hand covered her mouth from behind. She fought wildly until Dante's voice brushed her ear. Quiet. He was behind the curtains. One arm locked around her waist, his gun already raised. The intruder stepped farther inside. Dante fired once. The man collapsed without a sound. Harper shook against him. Dante did not release her immediately. His hand remained over her mouth. His body pressed behind hers. His breath controlled but rougher than usual. The moment stretched. Too close. Too intimate. Too alive. Then he let go as if she had burned him. "How did he get in?" she whispered. Dante stared at the body. Someone inside let him through. Betrayal. The word moved through the lodge like poison. By dawn, 3 of Dante's men were dead. 1 was missing. A security chief named Roman had vanished with access codes, vehicle routes, and Harper's medical file. Dante stood in the garage beneath fluorescent lights, surrounded by armed men, his face emotionless as bodies were carried past. Harper watched from the doorway. This was his world, not the fantasy of dark suits and dangerous eyes. Blood on concrete. Loyalty. Bought and sold. Death handled with terrifying efficiency. Dante noticed her watching. "You shouldn't be here. I'm done hiding in bedrooms while people die around me." His eyes narrowed. "That courage will get you killed. Maybe. But it's mine." For a moment, something almost like admiration moved across his face. Then one of his men approached. "We found Roman's last outgoing call." Dante took the tablet. His expression changed. Harper stepped closer. "What?" Dante did not answer. She looked at the screen. A photo appeared. Roman standing beside a young woman in a hospital corridor. The woman wore a nurse's badge. Harper's heart jolted. "I know her." Dante looked at her sharply. "She was in Billings," Harper whispered. "After my accident. She was the nurse who told me I'd lost 3 days." Dante's eyes turned black with fury. "Name?" "Evelyn Marsh." Within 6 hours, they were in Chicago. Harper had never flown in a private jet before. She sat across from Dante while snow-covered Montana vanished beneath them, and the steel-gray city rose ahead like a blade. Dante worked silently, phone in hand, issuing orders in Italian and English, with the calm of a king deciding who would live until sunrise. Harper watched him. He noticed without looking up. "Ask, do you ever get tired of being feared?" His thumb paused on the screen. "No, that's a lie." His eyes lifted. Harper should have looked away. She didn't. Dante leaned back slowly. "Fear is efficient. It's lonely." A faint, humorless smile touched his mouth. "You say that like loneliness is a punishment. Isn't it?" "No. It's protection." "For who?" He stared at her. Then the jet dipped through cloud cover, and the moment broke. In Chicago, Dante placed her in a luxury penthouse above the river. with windows overlooking rain-slick streets and towers glowing like cold stars. The city felt different from Montana. Restless, metallic, crowded with secrets. He told her she would stay inside. She told him he could go to hell. They compromised by sending 4 bodyguards with her to the abandoned hospital where Evelyn Marsh was rumored to be hiding. Dante hated the compromise. Harper saw it in the way his jaw remained tense the entire drive. At the hospital, rain tapped through broken skylights. Old gurneys rusted in hallways. Graffiti-covered walls, once painted sterile white. Harper moved beside Dante through the dark, her boots splashing in shallow puddles. "You don't have to do this," he said. "Yes, I do. If she confirms what happened, it will hurt." Harper swallowed. "I know." Dante's hand moved near her back, not touching. Almost, then stopping. They found Evelyn in the old maternity wing. She was older than Harper remembered, thin and terrified, clutching a rosary so tightly her fingers had gone pale. When she saw Harper, she began to cry. "I'm sorry," Evelyn whispered. Harper's knees nearly gave out. Dante's voice was ice. "Talk." Evelyn confessed in fragments. The accident had been staged. Harper had been taken to a private surgical facility. Embryo transfer, forced gestation, suppressed records, drugs that blurred months into illness and trauma. When Harper went into early labor, Evelyn assisted. Luca was born alive. Harper held him for 43 seconds before they sedated her. Harper made a sound that did not feel human. Dante turned toward her, but she stepped away. "Did I know?" Harper whispered. Evelyn sobbed. "For a moment. You begged them not to take him." The room spun. Harper saw flashes that had haunted her for years in dreams she thought meant nothing. A baby crying. A blue blanket. Her own voice screaming. Dante's hand closed around the metal rail of an old hospital bed until it bent. Evelyn looked at him, shaking. "I saved one thing." She pulled a small hospital bracelet from her coat. "Baby boy Quinn." Harper took it with trembling hands. Then gunfire erupted from the hallway. Dante moved instantly, shoving Harper behind a concrete pillar as bullets tore through the maternity ward. Evelyn screamed. Dante fired back with terrifying precision. Harper clutched the bracelet to her chest while glass exploded around them. One of Dante's guards fell. Another dragged Evelyn toward the exit. A masked man came through the side door. Harper saw him before Dante did. "Dante." He turned. Too late. Harper grabbed a fallen metal tray and slammed it into the attacker's arm. The shot went wide. Dante seized the man, drove him into the wall, and ended the fight with brutal efficiency. Then he turned on Harper, furious. "Never do that again." She stared at him, shaking. "Save your life, risk yours. You don't get to be angry because I didn't let you die. I do when dying would have been easier than watching you fall." The words hit both of them at once. Dante went still. Harper's breath caught. There it was. Not a confession. Not yet. But something close enough to burn. Sirens wailed in the distance. Dante looked away first. "We leave now." That night, back in the penthouse, Harper stood in the bathroom and finally broke. She sank to the marble floor with the baby bracelet in her hands and cried until her chest hurt. Not delicate tears. Not beautiful grief. A mother's body remembering what her mind had been forced to forget. Dante found her there. For once, he did not give orders. He sat on the floor outside the bathroom doorway, his back against the wall, leaving space between them like an offering. Harper wiped her face. "Did you ever hold him?" Dante's voice was rough. "No." She closed her eyes. "I did. Yes. And they took that from both of us." Dante said nothing. Harper looked at him through the open doorway. His face was turned away, but his hand rested on the floor between them, palm open, as if he did not trust himself to reach farther. After a long time, Harper placed the bracelet in his palm. His fingers closed around it. The man everyone feared bowed his head. His shoulders did not shake. He made no sound. But Harper saw the moment he broke, quietly, completely, and something inside her changed. The next day brought scandal. News outlets exploded with leaked footage of Dante carrying Harper out of the abandoned hospital during the shootout. Headlines called her his mistress, his weakness, his hostage, his secret wife. Her clinic was vandalized. Her name was dragged through every ugly corner of the internet. Dante's enemies smelled blood. Harper stood in the penthouse living room, watching strangers dissect her life on television. Dante entered, freshly showered, dressed in black, rage hidden beneath perfect control. Turn it off. She didn't. A commentator suggested she had willingly joined a criminal empire. Harper's face went pale. Dante picked up the remote and shut off the screen. I said enough. She turned on him. They think I'm sleeping with you. His eyes darkened. Are you more offended by them lying or by the idea? The question was too quiet, too dangerous. Harper's pulse jumped. You don't get to be jealous of a rumor you created. I didn't create it. You stood in front of cameras carrying me like I belonged to you. His gaze dropped to her mouth for half a second. You were bleeding. That's not an answer. No, he said. It's the only one I have. The space between them tightened. Harper should have stepped back. Instead, she stepped closer. Why did you sit outside my cabin for 47 nights, Dante? His expression closed. To protect you. Not enough. His eyes sharpened. She pushed. Why didn't you send men? Why you? Silence. Answer me. Dante looked at her like she had aimed a weapon at the one place no armor could cover. Because the first night I saw you, I hated you. Harper flinched. I thought you might have sold my son. I thought you were another beautiful liar in a world built from them. His voice lowered. Then you walked out into the snow to save a wounded deer caught in wire, and you cried when it died anyway. Harper swallowed. I came back the second night because I needed to know if the first was an act. I came back the third because I couldn't stop thinking about your hands. How gently they held dying things. By the 10th, I knew you were innocent. And after that, Dante's control flickered. After that, I was no longer only watching for Victor. Harper's breath caught. Then what were you watching for? His gaze burned into hers. A reason to leave. The room fell silent. And did you find one? She whispered. No. For one impossible moment, Harper thought he might kiss her. He moved closer, slowly, giving her time to stop him. His hand lifted toward her face. A phone rang. Dante froze. The softness vanished. He answered, listened. Then his eyes changed. What happened? Harper asked. Dante lowered the phone. Victor sent proof of life. The video arrived on a private server. Luca sat at a small table in a room with green walls, drawing with crayons. He looked healthy, older than the photos, quiet in a way no child should be quiet. A man behind the camera spoke in Russian. Luca did not look up. Then the man said, in English, "Tell your father hello." The little boy lifted his face. Harper stopped breathing. His eyes were hers. Not similar. Hers. Luca looked into the camera and whispered, "Am I going home?" Dante went utterly still. Harper clapped a hand over her mouth. The video ended. For several seconds, no one moved. Then Dante swept every glass off the table with one violent motion. Crystal shattered across the floor. His men stood frozen. Harper did not. She crossed the room, grabbed his arm, and forced him to face her. Don't you dare fall apart now. His chest rose and fell with terrifying restraint. He's alive, she said. He asked to come home. Dante's eyes were wild in a way she had never seen. I heard him. Then we bring him home. His hand closed around her wrist. If Victor sent that, it means he wants a trade. What trade? Dante's face told her before his mouth did. Harper stepped back. No, he wants me, and the inheritance documents. And me? Dante said nothing. Harper's blood went cold. He wants me too. Dante's voice became deadly calm. He will never have you. The possessiveness in his tone should have frightened her. It did frighten her, but beneath it was something raw. Terror, not of death, of losing her that night. Dante ordered the city to bleed. Banks froze. Ports shut down. 3 corrupt judges vanished from public life. A luxury casino in Atlantic City linked to Victor's money burned before dawn. Not with people inside. Dante was too controlled for that, but the message was unmistakable. You touched what was mine. Now, watch your world turn to ash. Harper confronted him on the rooftop helipad as helicopters cut through the icy wind. You're starting a war. No, Dante said, looking out over Chicago's neon skyline. I'm ending one by destroying everything that stands between me and my son. And me? He turned. The city lights carved shadows across his face. You are not between me and him. Then what am I? Dante stared at her for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was barely audible over the wind. The reason I'm afraid of what I'll become if I fail. Harper's anger softened despite herself. She walked closer. This time, when his hand lifted, he touched her. Just 2 fingers against her cheek. Barely there. A man capable of commanding armies touched her like she was something sacred he had no right to hold. Harper closed her eyes. For one heartbeat, she leaned into him. Then a sniper round cracked through the air. Dante shoved her down. The bullet shattered the helicopter window behind them. Men shouted. Alarms screamed. Dante covered Harper with his body as his guards returned fire toward a neighboring rooftop. Harper felt his heartbeat hammering against hers. He looked down at her, fury and fear blazing through his eyes. Are you hit? No. His hand moved over her hair, her face, her shoulders. Checking, anyway. I'm okay, she said. His forehead almost touched hers. Almost. Then he pulled away and became the boss again. Find him, he ordered. But Harper had seen it. The mask had cracked, and what lived underneath was no longer only obsession. It was devotion struggling not to say its name. The trade was set for midnight at an abandoned church outside Detroit. Victor demanded Dante arrive with Harper and the original Moretti inheritance documents papers proving Luca's blood claim and Dante's full control over the family empire. Dante planned to go alone. Harper discovered the plan because Bear stole one of his gloves and carried it into the war room where the documents lay open. You were leaving without me, she said. Dante did not deny it. You were going to hand yourself over. If that is what gets Luca out, yes. And what happens to you? His silence was answer enough. Harper felt something tear inside her. You don't get to make me lose him and you in the same night. Dante's expression shifted. You do not lose me. Don't lie to me. He crossed the room. I am not a good man, Harper. I know. I have killed for power, for revenge, for less than either. I know. If you stay near me, my enemies will always look at you first. I know. His voice dropped. Then why are you still here? Harper looked at the baby bracelet on the table, then at him. Because our son is alive. Dante went still. Our son. The words changed the air. Harper stepped closer. And because you came back for my dog in a burning cabin. His mouth tightened, but his eyes softened in a way he could not hide. That is a terrible reason. It's mine. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then Dante pulled her into him. Not gently. Not like a man asking permission from the world. like a man finally surrendering to the one thing he could not control. His arms locked around her. Harper buried her face against his chest, breathing in smoke, leather, and the faint, cold scent of snow. He did not kiss her. That would have been easier. Instead, he held her like he was memorizing the shape of her before walking into hell. At midnight, the abandoned church rose from the frozen ground like a dead cathedral. Snow covered the broken steps. The stained glass windows were shattered. Candlelight flickered inside, gold against decay. Dante arrived in a black convoy. Harper sat beside him, wearing a bulletproof vest beneath her coat and a small tracker hidden in her boot. He had argued. She had won. Barely. Inside the church, Viktor Sokolov waited beneath the ruined altar. He was older than Dante. Silver-haired, elegant, with pale eyes and the smile of a man who had never loved anything he could not use. Beside him stood Luca. Harper almost broke. The boy was small in a dark coat, clutching a wooden toy horse. His face was pale, his eyes too careful. Dante's hand closed around Harper's. Hard, possessive, shaking once. Luca looked at them. Harper could not breathe. Victor smiled. The family portrait at last. Dante's voice was deadly calm. Let him go. Documents first. Dante tossed the envelope onto the stone floor. Victor's man picked it up, checked it, nodded. Harper's eyes never left Luca. The boy stared back at her with solemn curiosity. Then he whispered, "Are you the doctor?" Harper's heart shattered. She knelt slowly, ignoring Dante's sharp inhale. "I'm Harper." Luca looked at Dante. "Is she safe?" Dante's voice changed. Only slightly. But Harper heard the father in it. "Yes." Victor laughed softly. "How touching. He worries about everyone. An unfortunate trait. Must come from her." Dante took one step forward. Guns rose throughout the church. Victor held up a hen. "Careful. You are not here as a king tonight. You are here as a father. Fathers make terrible decisions." Harper stood. "And men like you mistake love for weakness, because no one ever loved you enough to make you brave." The church went silent. Dante turned his head slightly, stunned. Victor smiled fell. "You have her mouth, Dante. That will become tiresome." He gestured. One of his men grabbed Luca. The boy cried out. Dante moved, but Victor lifted a detonator. Another step, and the tunnels beneath this church collapse. Harper's blood turned cold. "A trap." "Of course." Victor looked at Dante. "You will sign over control of the northern ports. You will name the boy my ward. And the woman stays with me until I am sure you behave." Dante's face became terrifyingly still. "No." Victor pressed the detonator halfway. Dust fell from the ceiling. Luca whimpered. Harper saw the calculation in Dante's eyes. He would sacrifice himself. He would sacrifice his empire. He would give anything. So Harper did the one thing no one expected. She walked toward Victor. Dante's voice snapped. "Harper." She did not stop. Victor's eyes gleamed. "Smart girl." Harper approached slowly. Hands raised. "Let Luca go, and I'll come with you." Dante looked murderous. Victor smiled again. "A mother after all." Harper stopped close enough to see the veins in Victor's hand around the detonator. "Yes," she said. "I am." Then Bear charged through the side door. The dog had followed Dante's men from the convoy, barking like thunder. Everyone turned for half a second. Half a second was enough. Harper slammed her elbow into Victor's wrist. The detonator flew. Dante fired. Chaos exploded. Gunfire tore through the church. Men shouted. Candles fell. Stained glass shattered in glittering bursts. Dante moved through the violence like a shadow cut from wrath, clearing a path toward Luca. Harper dove for the boy. A man grabbed her hair from behind. She screamed. Dante turned. The look on his face was no longer human. He crossed the church through gunfire, took the man down, and pulled Harper and Luca both behind the altar as bullets sparked against stone. Luca was shaking. Harper wrapped herself around him. "It's okay," she whispered. "I've got you." The boy clung to her. Dante looked at them, and for one suspended second amid violence, his entire world was in his eyes. Then Victor appeared behind him with a gun. Harper saw him. So did Luca. The boy cried, "Papa!" Dante froze. The word hit him harder than any bullet. Victor fired. Harper shoved Luca down. Dante took the bullet in his side and still managed to shoot Victor in the shoulder. Victor staggered, laughing through blood. "You'll never be free of me." Dante advanced. Victor raised the gun again. Harper picked up the fallen detonator. "Don't you?" He looked back. She held Victor's fate in her hand. For the first time, Dante did not command her. He waited. Harper looked at Victor, the man who had stolen her body, her child, 6 years of birthdays, lullabies, fevers, first words, and bedtime stories. Then she threw the detonator into the baptismal font. Water swallowed it. "No more graves," she said. Dante stared at her. Something in him shifted. He lowered his gun. His men took Victor alive. Outside, snow fell over the ruined church as sirens wailed in the distance. Dante collapsed on the steps. Harper caught him before his head hit stone. Dante. Blood spread beneath his coat. Luca stood frozen nearby, clutching Bear's fur. Dante's eyes found the boy. Not the Mafia Boss. Not the king. Only a wounded father afraid to reach for something he had already lost once. "Luca," he whispered. The boy stepped closer. Dante's hand trembled, stopping halfway. Luca looked at Harper. She nodded through tears. The child placed his small hand in Dante's. Dante closed his eyes, and the feared man who had burned cities for a whisper of his son finally wept. Quietly, without shame. Harper held pressure to his wound, her hands slick with blood. "You don't get to die now," she said, voice breaking. Dante opened his eyes, even bleeding out. He almost smiled. "Still, giving orders?" "Yes." His gaze moved between her and Luca. "For once," he whispered. "I'll obey." Dante survived. Barely. The surgery took 6 hours in a private wing of a luxury hospital locked down by his men. Armed guards stood at every elevator. Detectives waited downstairs. Reporters filled the street. Snow turned red and blue beneath flashing lights. Harper sat beside Luca in the waiting room, both wrapped in blankets. The boy did not speak much, but he did not let go of her hand. At dawn, a doctor emerged. "He's alive." Harper bowed her head. Luca whispered, "Papa." The doctor softened. "He's asking for both of you." Dante lay pale against white sheets, surrounded by machines, still somehow looking like a man the world should ask permission to approach. Luca stopped at the doorway. Harper knelt beside him. "You don't have to do anything before you're ready." The boy looked at Dante. "He came for me." "Yes." "Did you?" Harper's throat tightened. "As soon as I knew you existed." Luca studied her with those serious eyes. Then he slipped his hand into hers and walked to the bed. Dante turned his head. The silence between father and son was fragile. Luca climbed carefully onto the chair beside him. "You got hurt." Dante's voice was rough. "I'll heal. Because of me?" Dante's eyes darkened with pain. "For you," he said. "Never because of you." Luca seemed to think about that. Then he placed the wooden horse on Dante's blanket. "I saved it." Dante looked at the toy, like it was a crown. Harper turned away before she cried. Dante reached for her hand. This time, he did not stop himself. Weeks passed. The official story called Viktor Sokolov, an international trafficker, killed in a failed escape attempt. That was not entirely true. Dante let the world believe what it needed to. Harper did not ask where Victor was. Some answers belonged to darkness. She focused on Luca. He loved pancakes but hated syrup touching the plate. He slept with a lamp on. He spoke 3 languages because captivity had moved him across borders. He trusted animals faster than people. Bear became his shadow. He called Harper by her name at first. Then one night, half asleep on the couch in the mountain safe house, he murmured, "Mom." And Harper had to step outside into the snow because the happiness hurt too much to hold indoors. Dante found her by the railing. He was still healing, one hand pressed lightly to his side beneath his black coat. "You should be inside," she said. "So should you." Harper looked out at the mountains. Below them, the forest stretched dark and endless. Somewhere far away, her old life lay in ashes. Her clinic would need rebuilding. Her name would need clearing. Luca would need years of healing. Dante's world would never become safe just because love had entered it. But for the first time, Harper did not feel stolen from. She felt standing at the beginning of something. Dante moved beside her. "I bought the land where your cabin stood," he said. She turned slowly. "Of course you did." His mouth curved faintly. "Not for control. That would be new for you. I deserved that." "Yes, you did." He looked almost amused, but the emotion in his eyes was serious. "I want to rebuild it, exactly as it was, if that's what you want. Or different, bigger clinic, better equipment. A house for Bear, a room for Luca facing east." Harper's chest tightened. "And where would you be?" Dante looked out at the snow. "Wherever you allow me." It was the closest thing to surrender she had ever heard from him. Harper studied the man beside her. The Mafia Boss. The father. The monster. The protector. The man who had sat outside her cabin for 47 nights because he did not know how to knock on the door of a life he had already ruined by existing near it. "You can't watch from the driveway anymore," she said. His eyes returned to hers. "No?" "No." She stepped closer, heart pounding. "If you want in, Dante, you knock." The wind moved between them. Then Dante Moretti, feared by criminals, hunted by governments, obeyed by men who would kill for a glance, lowered his head like a man receiving mercy. "I can do that." Harper smiled through tears. "You can start now." For once, he did not hesitate. He touched her face gently, giving her every chance to turn away. She didn't. When he kissed her, it was not soft. It was restrained fire, a promise held back for too long, a confession made without words. Behind them, through the glass, Luca slept curled against Bear beside the fire. Outside, snow fell over the mountains, covering tire tracks, blood, and old ghosts. And for the first time in 47 nights, no black SUV waited in the dark. Because Dante Moretti was no longer outside Harper Quinn's life. He was home,